Since 1991, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Section 811 Supportive Housing Program has provided funding to develop and subsidize rental housing for very low-income adults with disabilities. One of the largest recipients of this funding, Accessible Space Incorporated, a nonprofit housing provider based in St. Paul, Minnesota, currently manages 120 apartment communities for adults with physical disabilities and seniors in 21 states across the country. The purpose of the Section 811 program allows persons with disabilities to live as independently as possible in the community by subsidizing fully accessible rental housing opportunities which provide access to appropriate supportive services. In order to qualify to live at a Section 811 funded apartment community, one member of the household must have a physical disability, traumatic brain injury, and/or mobility impairment. A medical professional must verify this physical disability with a signature. Depending on the designation of the project, some Section 811 apartment communities allow applicants with chronic mental illness or developmental disabilities to apply. It is important to understand this distinction. No matter the designation of the apartment building, applicants must income qualify in order to be considered for an apartment. In order to income qualify, applicants must be very low income, which is considered at or below 50% of the area median income. At Accessible Space Incorporated, a nonprofit housing provider for adults with disabilities and recipients of Section 811 Capital Advance funding, we screen for credit, criminal, and rental history background checks when determining eligibility for an apartment. All of ASI's apartments have the WPD with physical disabilities designation, which means only adults with a physical disability, traumatic brain injury, and/or mobility impairment are eligible to apply. Currently, there are 6 vacancies at the Winston Court Apartments in Hibbing, Minnesota for very low-income adults with physical disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, and/or mobility impairments. For those interested in applying to the Winston Court Apartments, please call 1-800-466-7722, extension 225, or visit Accessible Space Incorporated online at www.accessiblespace.org. Rent at Section 811 apartment communities are based on 30% of gross adjusted monthly income. At Accessible Space, tenants pay for their electric and cable bills. The management handles the heat, water, trash, and snow removal, and in some cases, HUD provides a utility allowance to offset the cost of expensive utility bills. Included in the apartments are features such as accessible stovetops and ovens, roll-under counters and sinks in the kitchen and bath, large roll-in showers, 36-inch wide doors with lever action handles, and raised electrical outlets and lowered light switches to accommodate the needs of adults with disabilities. In addition, all common areas and hallways will meet the Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA) guidelines for wheelchair accessibility. Apartments are both 1 and 2 bedrooms, and 1 bedrooms are 504 square feet in size, and 2 bedrooms are 800 square feet in size. In fiscal year 2012, no funding was appropriated for traditional 811 capital advances to provide funding to nonprofit organizations to finance construction of apartment communities for people with disabilities. A new project rental assistance program was authorized by the Frank Melville Supportive Housing Investment Act of 2010 and was first implemented through a demonstration program in fiscal year 2012. Under this new program, state housing agencies that have entered into partnerships with state health and human services and Medicaid agencies can apply for Section 811 project rental assistance for new or existing affordable housing developments funded by low-income housing tax credits, home funds, or other sources of funding. Under the State Healthcare Housing Agency Partnership, the healthcare agency must develop a policy for referrals, tenant selection, and service delivery to ensure that this housing is targeted to a population most in need of deeply affordable supportive housing. This Section 811 assistance comes in the form of project rental assistance only. No longer are funds available for construction or rehabilitations for nonprofit organizations. Eligible grantees are state housing agencies that have entered into partnerships with state health and human services and Medicaid agencies who then allocate project assistance to projects funded by tax credit, home funds, or other sources.